This is Bleav in Buckeyes. I'm Bryant Brown, an All-American quarterback, Chimdi Chekwa. This show is brought to you guys by FanDuel. Chim, how you doing, man? I know you had that shovel out. We got about, 12, 13, 14 inches of snow, man. How you doing? You snowed in for the day? You got surviving?
Yeah, we're doing. I mean, it wasn't that bad. You know, it was a lot of anticipation about the snowstorm that was coming. You know, and I was laid back. I was chilling. I wasn't really concerned. People clearing out shelves at the grocery store in preparation. Like, man, I grew up in New Orleans where we had hurricanes every year. You know, a little snow ain't gonna hurt me. So dug out a foot of snow. More snow came down, dug out some more snow, and we good to go. I think it's not that bad. Now I am a little bit under the weather though, which it's all right. It doesn't happen too often to me, so I'm even enjoying that. I'm even enjoying that.
That snow was a killer, man. The snow was a killer over here, man. I went out last night. It took me about 2.5 hours to shovel to get all the snow out the way. I was out there for a good while, but I got it done. I waited till everything was done, so I only had to do it once. So I should be good. Let some more come in, and we had to take that from there. But hey, we're not here to talk about the weather. We're here to talk about college football and our Ohio State Buckeyes. First, shout out to the Indiana Hoosiers for bringing home that national championship, beating the Miami Hurricanes. That's 3 in a row for the Big Ten. Does that mean something?
Yeah, 3 in a row for the Big Ten. It definitely means something. It means that the Big Ten is in a different place in terms of getting those elite teams. If you compare the middle of the Big Ten versus SEC, I was consistent in saying that I think the SEC in the middle was better. But now I gotta take that back, man. You watch how the year played out, the bowl games. I know, we like hypothetical games when we talk SEC. When the real games happen and the bowl games happen, we say, no, those don't count because so-and-so was out. And when you look at how things ended up in terms of the records in bowl games and playoffs, I think the Big Ten was maybe 10-4, 10-5, somewhere around there. The SEC did not fare as well. And I think the reality is the Big Ten is better. I think they got underrated all year. Teams like Iowa, teams like USC, Michigan lost to Oklahoma, so I think there is some fairness there. But some of the teams that were kind of in the middle in the Big Ten got suppressed for most of the year, and then some of the teams in the SEC got elevated and overrated for most of the year. And I think you're going to start seeing some correction moving forward. I hope so. There's a lot of influence from ESPN, but I do think these wins prove that the Big Ten is at the top of college football. And I also got to say, Fernando Mendoza. I've been a fan of him, but a little bit skeptical of some of the hype. I got my Raiders hat on now because I think he's earned that. He's earned that number 1 pick spot, whether it's the Raiders picking him or they trade the pick, whatever. He's earned it, and he had his true Heisman moment in the championship game.
Yeah, no, I mean, he definitely stepped up, played the part, played big. He made some plays with his feet, with his arm. He definitely got it done. Shout out to Curt Cignetti, right? I mean, he can win a championship, and they say, the national championship is won by the Indiana Hoosiers. Like, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought that Indiana would ever be national champions? But he believed in it. Obviously, he has a process, has a way to evaluate talent. And he doesn't go for no nonsense. So his team improves, and they was able to kind of step up on the biggest stage to get the job done. So shout out to him.
Do you think it's sustainable at this level for Indiana? I got a take on that, but I want to ask you.
I say yeah, because obviously this is an NIL world, and in Indiana they've been shouting out their donors, right? Hey, we came in and we thought we was gonna have XYZ funds. We exceeded that. They had a good year last year, and then now they got some success. Now you're hearing guys like Mark Cuban and other billionaires just kind of stepping in to support the team as well. So, like I say, as long as Cignetti is there, and once again, he has a way of just not just getting guys just to get them, but getting guys he knows can kind of go out there and execute and play. So I think there'll be a team to be, reckoned with here in the future, because I think he has a process, and now he already have his quarterback for next year. He got a way of figuring things out and kind of keeping that train rolling. And if you're in the portal, you're calling Indiana now, like, hey, you guys want a guy like me, especially if you're a quarterback and you see the success that Mendoza just had and winning the Heisman. they're hot ticket. And you know, with sports, it goes like that. If you got the momentum and you're rolling, guys will start coming to you before you even have to recruit them. So, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm skeptical, and I've been praising Cignetti since last year. I said last year he's a top 3 coach in college football. I don't care if he had a deep playoff run or not. What he was able to do with the talent that he had so fast made him a top coach. But I don't know if that's enough, considering that his group of guys, his coaching staff, his offensive coordinator, his defensive coordinator, like when you're on the come up, you keep that nucleus kind of together, right? Even some of the players that came to Indiana, while they may not have been 5-star guys, they were guys who played together in the same system for a while. I know he brought a ton of guys in the transfer portal, but he had a group of leaders, guys that played together. But now when you get success, it's just a different challenge. Now I'm not saying he won't be able to handle it, but it's a different challenge. It's you start losing coaches. You start losing your coordinators. You start losing some of your
players.
Younger. You lose some of your top players that you got in. They're not used to getting 5-star guys. They're going to start getting 5-star, 4-star recruits. Some of those guys are going to leave after a year, right? And I'm curious to see how they sustain. Because Ohio State is, your approach is you got to sustain it year after year after year. I'm curious to see how he sustains, because he's gonna have to adjust his approach, because it's gonna be a different challenge. It's gonna be the challenge that comes with success. And I doesn't change my perspective on him as a coach.
Right.
But there's still going to be some challenge. And the other thing is, like, I know that all the donors are giving money, everything's great. At Ohio State, like, we have to win and compete every year. You know what I'm saying? Indiana, I don't know what the appetite is. It may be enough to win a national championship. We've never done this before. We're the national championship. All right, in the next couple of years, let's go fix basketball. Let's go make sure basketball stays at the top, right? Like, so I'm skeptical as to. I think there'll always be because of coaching. I think there'll always be a good team. But there's a difference between what they were this year and what maybe a USC is every year, or even, I won't say Oregon, but a Penn State is year after year, where they're going to compete, they're going to be good, but are they really going to be contending every year? I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, time will tell. Time will tell. But I know next year, Ohio State, for the 2026 season, we got them October 17th. And I heard hotel prices are already skyrocketing. People are ready to see Ohio State travel out there and get that rematch against the Indiana Hoosiers here in the 26th season. And we'll see. That might be one of the, I don't know. I'd definitely be, I think, one of Indiana's biggest tests of the season. And obviously, we gotta. I don't know. We get to the 26th season later, but that's definitely one to circle on the calendars. And I'm sure Fox's Big Noon is rubbing their hands. They got them hurt. They just cannot wait to make that a noon game for when Ohio State travel out west. The state over to play Indiana. But hey, man, Ohio State, we landed us an offensive coordinator and Arthur Smith. Obviously, he's an NFL guy. We spoke about it last week. He had a couple names. I don't believe he was one of those names listed, but he wasn't one of the names listed because he had a current job with the Steelers. But he obviously is leaving the Steelers to come down to the collegiate level and coach our Ohio State Buckeyes. This is a guy that's been in the NFL essentially forever. Very, very little college experience. Basically spent the majority of his career with the Tennessee Titans, doing everything from a intern, walking his way all the way up to offensive coordinator. He was there for some of that success that we seen with Ryan Tannehill and worked with Coach Vrabel. Then he got the head job at the Falcons, did that for a couple seasons. Then he went to the Steelers, was an offensive coordinator there for a couple seasons before he landed here with our Buckeyes. What's your initial thought? What you thinking about Arthur Smith? Is this the right move?
So I got a little bit of a nuanced take. I want to say first, we talked about this last show, in that what type of guy do we want? And what I laid out is probably a guy with a lot of experience. Doesn't have to be an NFL guy, but preferably a guy from the NFL, and someone who can get the run game together, who can structure the play call, who could take some pressure off the quarterback, those types of things. So he checks that box for me. Like, he checks what I think Ryan Day needed in a head coach. And for the most part, I do like the hire. I trust Ryan Day in making this hire. He does fit the description of what I want in an offensive coordinator. I think where there's some criticism, and I think this is where fans lean to the most, is, that passing game. What is he going to do for the passing game? Like a lot of the critique and losses at Ohio State, at least in recent years, has been the aggressiveness in the passing game, the hurry up offense, the air raid type style offense, which I think college football is pulling back from, because when you have NFL type defenses, it's not as effective. And I prefer that Ryan Day has a guy who's more like Arthur Smith, more like, I don't know, a Greg Roman, or some of these coaches that fans don't love, because I just assume that Ryan Day is still there. Like, I assume that Ryan Day is still going to have a Ryan Day offense that we're going to be able to run, and what we need is something that complements that offense. So I like the hire. I will say I'm somewhat skeptical of how much is Ryan Day going to take charge, or have his influence on the offense and the passing game. But I do understand that college football is moving into a more NFL offensive style approach, and we're going to use more tight ends, and we're going to really focus on run game, RPO, play action pass, which does complement a Ryan Day pass game, in my opinion. I'm curious, how you feel about the OC, the new OC.
To be honest, right now, I cannot complain, right? I think we saw the success we had with Chip Kelly. We saw the success we had this past year with Coach Patricia. So I assume Arthur Smith is going to come in and do, similar work, right? I mean, you hear some of the NFL guys start talking about, when they're at the NFL, they're doing X, Y, Z. But when they come to college, to be honest, they kind of say it's like it's a little bit easier. It's like, it's less game plan that we had to kind of go over here. It's less time that you kind of have far as the other teams to get ready for each other, because once again, we still are dealing with guys that still have classes and things of that nature, compared to in the NFL where it's just, 24/7 football for 5-6 months out of the year. So I expect the same. He could come in, install some type of run fist that he would like to see. The fan side of things and them not liking the hire, you try to kind of think about, like, well, why wouldn't they like the guy, right? Like, it's coming from the Steelers. They just made the playoffs 2 years in a row. His quarterback this past year was a quarterback that was plus 40. Obviously, we're talking about all-time great or Aaron Rodgers, but he's not the Aaron Rodgers of old. He's 40-plus years old. The year before that, the offense is good enough to make the playoffs, and we got Russell Wilson, and, he's on the back end of his career, and he also has Justin Fields. And you already know we love Justin Fields, but he's a very up-and-down quarterback when you talk about his play in the NFL. And Justin Fields had a winning record with Arthur Smith as his coach. Exactly. Now, that just could be Steelers. The Steelers win a lot of games. I'm not a Steelers fan. I'm from Cleveland, but, they're going to win some games, especially when Coach Tomlin is coaching. It'd be interesting to see the future. They made some changes as well. I don't know. But, you kind of take back to the Falcons. He got all the way to be a head coach in the NFL. Not many people get to be head coaches in the NFL. Now, obviously, it wasn't the success that he would want it to have there, but he still got there. And if you look at the Falcons since he's left, did they get better without him? I don't think so. So, maybe there's a little bit more to it than him being the head coach. The success he had at Tennessee speaks for itself with Tannehill, A.J. Brown, and how they was an explosive offense, throwing the ball downfield, running the ball, and things of that nature with Derrick Henry and the success that they had. So, I think that's stat, right? Some of the good things that he's done. So, him coming down to the college level, right now, I just have to trust it, and once we get into the season and, we see some things, maybe we reevaluating his value to the team. But right now, I have to trust the hire that we made the right decision. I can't see Coach Day having a bad offense. So when it comes down to it, I feel like we will be improving. Julian Sand will get to learn more under an NFL guy. Jeremiah Smith has to be happy with an NFL guy coming into the locker room to run that offense. I think overall, we will see some improvements. Offensive line, more experience in the backfield with Bo Jackson and Isaiah West. So right now, I got to tip my cap to it, and I think we made the right decision, and we just kind of time will have to tell if we did.
Yeah, I want to give fans a perspective in that, because the football tends to move in these eras. Offenses and style of offenses move in the eras, and history kind of repeats itself. And for a time, we shifted to kind of that air raid, Big 12 type offense, spread everything out, hurry up offense. throw the ball around, etc. And that was successful. Ryan Day always has kind of been more of a play action down the field attack. But to me, it's more his approach is more beneficial with a really good, solid run game. And the way teams are playing, you look at what Miami did, big offensive linemen, spent a lot of money on defensive linemen. You could stack a team with older, veteran, talented players in the trenches, and they can blow up some of that air raid type passing offense. So you really got to structure your team with a solid foundation, be able to protect the quarterback, be able to run the ball. And I think what's always been lacking at Ohio State, or not say always, but in the past few years till Chip Kelly got here, was that run game, the inconsistency with the run game. And then even last year, those inconsistencies early on, you started to see some improvement in the run game. But then we kind of shied away from the passing game a little bit. But we needed to get back to that foundation, that ability to run the ball, and that ability to just make the layup type pass plays. Like everything shouldn't be deep drop back, all these routes, find something down the field. Like something you have to be able to just run the ball, RPO pass, play action pass. And a simple read for the quarterback, nothing complicated. But this run action as a defensive player, this run action puts us in a bind because we have to stop this run. We got to commit all these guys to the run. Then you get the play action, this guy's going to be open. And that's what, to me, Arthur Smith, if you watch, what he did with Tennessee, what he did with the Steelers, what he did with the Falcons, being able to run the ball, different looks, be successful in the run, and be successful in the play action pass, play action boot, etc. He was good at that. Now, you can criticize and say, the passing game, there wasn't a lot of innovation and creativity in the pass game. For me, that's what Ryan Day is for, right? I don't feel like I need Ryan Day to hire another Ryan Day. I feel like he should just be who he is. And I think that's where fans get concerned, is that they feel like the offense is too conservative. And I say, I understand that skepticism, but to me, that skepticism of more so what is the head coach going to do? Because he's still the head coach. His bread and butter is still his bread and butter. Who he is who he is. It wasn't too long ago when C.J. Stroud was throwing the ball all over Georgia. It wasn't too long ago we won the national championship throwing the ball to Jeremiah Smith, Emeka Buka, et cetera, Will Howard. So, I expect to see more of that, but I do think in today's college football, you got to be able to run the ball effectively and consistently, and you got to be able to use tight ends in the run, in the pass, to get some of those matchups that you're looking for.
Yeah, and like you say, you keep saying the word foundation. And as a former offensive lineman, as Arthur Smith is a former offensive lineman, it's about the foundation you start day one. When you go in spring ball, how you plan on installing your offense, the emphasis of the run game, what it means. How do you block it against any look, certain play? We're going to call this play no matter what. This is how we block it against this. This is how we block it against that. We got to be able to go out there and execute short yardage, 31, 1st and 10. We need a first down to run the game up. You got to be able to execute a certain amount of plays, and I Bleav he'll better bring that to the table. Let's talk a little bit about our special teams, right? We need to show that some love because our special has been up and down over the last couple of seasons. And last year it felt like more of a personnel thing, but we was able to land a couple kickers. We got us a kicker out of Baylor, Connor Hawkins. He's a 50-yard plus maker. We also got to bring in a true freshman in 26 class of Cooper Peterson. And then we also grabbed a punter, 6-year punter, Bradley Young, got a Houston Christian coming in. One of these guys got to be the guy, right? When we start talking about these kickers, right? I mean, we need a guy.
When the Connor Hawkins guy hit the portal, I was ready to start a fundraiser. I was ready to start a fund. I was going to call it Fund the Foot. Drop it all on social media, raise a bunch of money, and make sure he got there. But I guess Ohio State already, had the deal set because he committed to Ohio State same day. It shouldn't be that complicated, man. It's Ohio State, right? You have the funds, you have the history and everything, the opportunity for kickers to come out here and do something special. He should be able to go out there and make it. If not, there should be competition, which there is, to be able to find out who's going to be the person to be able to make those kicks in big moments. And I don't know what they do in preparation, but those guys should be, there's some level of stress and pressure and stuff, but they should be out there, just kind of waiting or wanting to go, make the plays in those moments so that they can execute and do what they do. So I look forward to a new opportunity for special teams and being able to be as effective in the kicking game because every team in like the Final Four in the championship game, a lot of these teams had big kicks throughout that playoff run, and that's the part that you just can't ignore and expect to win the national championship. Like you just really can't
Yeah.
ignore it and expect to win.
No, right, right. But I mean, with the kicker, it always come down to when they miss one, what everybody says, right?
Yep.
Pressure, bust pipes. So you gotta have your mental right to go out there and execute, especially for Ohio State, because if you miss one, and if you're active on social media, Buckeye Nation,
Yeah.
that Buckeye friends, they're coming for you. So good luck to those guys, but hopefully one of those guys rise to the top and we have us a solid kicker game in the 26th season. But we want to get into one more thing. Now, this shout out to Clifton Connor 2 on Twitter. He sent us out a question. We always ask for questions, man. We finally got a nice solid question that we're going to take here to the show. But we kind of looking at things. We start looking at our 26 freshman class coming in, who we signed out in the transfer portal, who we lost in the transfer portal. Looking at our roster size, it look like right now we only have 88 players on our roster. We know right now we are capped at 105. There is no more essentially walk on to scholarship guys. You got some more guys that, came scholarship NIL. We really recruited them. Some guys you kind of signed on a scholarship, like we're going to take care of school. You're probably not going to make much in the NIL here for you, at your initial walking in the door. But right now we only have 88 people. The cap is 105. And Clifton just kind of posed the question, what are we doing? How are we going to make up these numbers? And our thoughts on that situation, I throw that one up to you, Chuck.
Yeah, if so in comparison, right? 88 guys on the roster now. I know cap is 105. Compared to NFL, it's a 53-man roster. I mean, I think they made it included increase what the active roster is, but just say 60
Okay.
guys. Let's say
Yeah, you got
six.
about 10 guys on practice squad, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
about
Let's say
60.
your
Yeah.
total roster in the NFL is about 60 something guys, right? For 18 game season plus playoffs, etc. 17, 18 games eventually. So 88 guys exceeds that, right? And I think what you see happening is now you actually have to consider amount of money you're spending because that money is going to impact your ability to keep a roster. So you invest the money in the guys who are going to be active players who are going to be contributing, guys who are going to start, guys who are going to be in a rotation, etc. You got some money set aside for guys who came in and got recruited, and the potential to be the future players that you are, and also support some of the depth in the special teams and those things. But some of those guys may even redshirt, and then you got maybe have some walk-ons and others that are just going to be primarily practice players, may be impactful on special teams, etc. And that's your roster. You don't necessarily need the inflated roster that you had before, which was just mostly, you had a bunch of scholarship guys, you had a bunch of walk-ons, and you only travel around 70 something guys.
Yeah.
So keeping a ton of roster means more guys to feed, more guys to put in hotels. All of this is part of the money that's being spent and more guys that you have to commit money to. And I think that's part of the reason why we have so many exits. Because I say, look, we're going to commit money to these people we think are starter or fringe starting players. And if we don't feel like you're there, we're going to let you know you can go find another opportunity to compete for a starter position. But we're going to reserve these funds for those individuals that we think are going to be on the field this year. And some of those guys, they went and got in the transfer portal.
Yeah, so I think that's a great way to explain it. I think also, once again, we still got some room here, right? So if we want to grab us a couple offensive linemen, obviously, if someone else, got set in the point like, man, I think this guy, we might have missed, people might have missed out on this guy. Maybe we could bring him in and he could help compete or assist with some things. We got room to do that. But once again, I think he only traveled with 74. I think we all could agree that 88 is well. If we didn't sign another player, 88 people is well enough to kind of, go out there and have a good practice and everyone could still stay fresh and be ready for the games on Saturday. So, I can't sneeze at the approach. I think, if we grab some more guys, great. We'll report on, we'll talk on it. But if we just stayed at 88, I think we have enough there for us to build our 26 team about. Because that's what it's all about, right? It's not about 26, 27. Like, we're building teams one season at a time now. And I think that's clear about, the moves that we took this offseason and letting so many guys go and signing so many veteran guys. We're worried about the 26 season. We're worried about the 27 season when it gets here. So we're just trying to feel for this bunch. So I think we got enough to do that. Obviously, I think we got a very talented bunch. We got a quarterback coming back with another year on his belt. So I'm taking us to be contenders to win another national championship, whether we add some guys to this roster or not.
Yeah, for sure. And we still haven't gotten word that Matt Patricia, I see him out on recruiting trips, taking pictures with young high school players. I see him smiling a lot, which we love to see.
I just voted for him for the assistant coach of the year. I guess that award still haven't been given out, but I just voted for him today. Yeah. He had a link in his story.
So hopefully that vote puts it, kind of pushes him over the top to re-sign, with sure. Ohio State, and try again. There's still a lot of vacancies left. So we don't know how those things shape up. The Browns haven't decided on a coach yet. It's like they're running out of options. The Bills,
guys are dropping out left and right on the Browns. That's my team, though. That's my team. I continue to support. Yeah. Hey, shout out to Shador making the Pro Bowl, man. So we got some Pro Bowl level quarterback up there in Cleveland now. So that might entice a coach to come and actually go through our interview process, man. But hey, but that's it for this week, man. We'll wrap up, man. Also, we continue to bring you guys Ohio State news as things come in. Please follow us. Send us questions. As you see, we respond to the questions here on X, YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Please listen in, share with your friends and your family. And as always, we're going to end this show with a nice OH.
Yo.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.